Hi, Zach Howard here, Royal LePage and Lake Homestead in St. John's, Newfoundland. So the biggest question I get in real estate is where interest rates are going to be and what's the outlook for the upcoming spring season. A lot of people have been putting off home purchases based on the outlook that rates would be coming down because we've just went through the fastest, most aggressive rate hiking cycle in history. It surprised me. I worked in the finance industry for 15, 20 years, worked in commercial banking, and I was not really foreseeing the central bank, the Bank of Canada, get to these levels and rates. But what drives it um, is actually not the central bank. It's actually the bond market does a lot of the heavy lifting for the central bankers, and then they come out and talk about where they're going to bring rates. But what I like to do, one of the things I do daily is look at the world government bond markets. There's a great site, investing.com. You can get all this information for free. And the Canadian 5 year bond, that's really the key. A lot of most all Canadian mortgages in that 5 year fixed, that traditional 5 year fixed mortgage that really dictates your monthly payment. That comes out of what that bond yield is pricing. And currently we're looking at a price of 3.69% interest. So that's come up considerably here in the last couple of weeks. Just looking back from where we've come last spring, there was a lot of anticipation similar that rates would be coming down, and instead they actually shot back up. We've seen inflation in the back half of 2023 reaccelerate, and that 5 year fixed went back up as almost as high as 4.5%. So you were looking at 5 year fixed rates for mortgages in the 6.5 up to 7% range. In the 2023, sold off pretty heavily, and there was a lot of anticipation that then inflation would pull back, would give availability for the Bank of Canada to then cut rates here in 2024. But most recently, like I said, February 1st, the Bank of Canada is out saying, not so quick, guys. We're actually seeing potentially inflation reaccelerating. There's some issues there with the Red Sea conflict over shipping delays, increased shipping costs. The bank, the bank is also saying that the federal government continues to spend fiscally somewhat irresponsibly outside of a recession, which is also not doing the inflation any favors. So it's really kind of handcuffing their ability to go in and start cutting rates aggressively in 2024 um, with that backdrop. Um, so what that means is really purchasers of real estate, whether it's residential or commercial, are going to have to adjust their expectations, expecting that rates were going to come down. Not really looking like the case so far here. We probably have that 5 year fixed rate somewhere in the low sixes to high sixes throughout the spring. Commercial rates, I'm seeing 9 to 9.5% in commercial lending in Canada currently. And that really affects the affordability calculations. Great chart here out of Tier 1 Alpha, profiling the US situation. So they had a high back the end of Q4 2022. About 480 grand was the median sales price in a home in US. That's fallen considerably to 417 here now in 2024, but the outlook for affordability is still cramped on this higher backdrop in longer term rates. The 30-year rate in the US is close to 7.5%. So in the US, they do these 30-year fixed versus they're usually floating rates or 5 year fixed. And that really does at a higher mortgage interest costs really cramp your affordability. So that median home price, 417,000. Looking at this affordability mortgage calculator, you'd had to have yearly household income $126,000 a year with no other outstanding debts. Down payment just 3%. You need minimum 5% in Canada. We had 25-year fixed mortgages, or we don't have fixed. We have 25-year amortization mortgages in Canada. There's talk out there to increase that to 30 to help that affordability calculation. But to be able to take home 130 grand a year, not have student loan payments, vehicle payments, other costs of living, it's becoming challenging to qualify for more expensive mortgages. So just a takeaway is if you're really been holding off purchasing a property in 2024 and looking for that opportunity in the spring because of lower rates, so far that does not seem to be the backdrop. And going to continue to keep an eye on it. But for now, I think we're kind of in this similar environment that we've experienced for over a year. Happy to talk to anybody who wants to chat about rates, where the market's going, anything like that in 2024. Cheers, Zach Howard, Roller Page Lenting Homestead.